The fall and the rise. The first tremors of destruction arrived without warning. The Galactic Armada's initial assault was so swift, so brutal, that most of humanity didn't even comprehend the scale of the catastrophe until entire cities had been reduced to smoldering ruins. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the window of the underground research facility, her dark eyes reflecting the holographic displays showing real-time global devastation. Satellite feeds captured burning metropolises, crumbling infrastructure, and the terrifying silhouettes of alien warships blocking out the sun. "We've lost Tokyo," a young technician announced, his voice trembling. "Beijing's defense grid is down. New York. New York is gone." Elena closed her eyes. She had been warning the United Nations Defense Council for years about the potential extraterrestrial threats. Her research on advanced propulsion systems and theoretical xenotechnology had been dismissed as academic fantasy. Now, those same bureaucrats were likely ash and radiation. The facility where she worked was one of the few remaining communication and research centers. Located deep beneath the Andes Mountains in South America, it had been designed as a last resort sanctuary for scientific personnel during global catastrophes. No one had truly believed it would ever be used. Status of remaining military assets? Elena asked, turning to Commander Jack Harrison, a grizzled veteran who had been coordinating the global resistance efforts. Harrison's weathered face was a map of exhaustion and determination. Less than 12% of our original military infrastructure remains operational. The Armada's initial strike was surgical. They targeted every major military installation, communication network, and technological hub simultaneously. The strategic brilliance of the invasion was undeniable. The alien forces had studied humanity for decades, understanding precisely where to strike to maximize devastation and minimize resistance. Their technology was generations ahead of human capabilities, rendering most of Earth's defensive systems obsolete within hours. "We need a radical approach," Elena muttered, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. Decades of research in advanced materials, quantum mechanics, and theoretical engineering were now humanity's last hope. Commander Harrison nodded. "Traditional warfare is futile. We can't match their technology or numbers. We need something unexpected." What emerged in the following weeks was nothing short of a global miracle. Nations that had been bitter enemies just months ago now worked in perfect synchronization. Political boundaries dissolved. Resources were pooled. Every scientist, engineer, military strategist, and technician was recruited into what would become known as the Unified Earth Resistance. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter became humanity's secret forge. Protected by experimental quantum cloaking technology hastily developed by a joint team of Russian, Chinese, and American engineers, massive shipyards began taking shape. These were not just construction sites, they were the wombs of humanity's potential salvation. Dr. Rodriguez's team was at the epicenter of this unprecedented collaboration. They were tasked with the most challenging objective: designing warships that could stand against an enemy that had conquered countless civilizations. "The Dreadnoughts," she would explain to her team, "are more than just ships. They are our statement to the universe, a declaration that humanity will not go quietly into extinction." Each dreadnought would be a masterpiece of integrated technology. Hulls constructed from nano-engineered alloys that could self-repair. Weapons systems that combined salvaged alien technology with human ingenuity. Artificial intelligence cores that could make split-second tactical decisions. But the real challenge wasn't just technological. It was human. The crews selected for the Dreadnoughts weren't traditional military personnel. They were the best and brightest, scientists who understood complex systems, pilots with superhuman reflexes, engineers who could improvise solutions under impossible pressure. Training was brutal. Simulations pushed human limits. Psychological evaluations were rigorous. Each crew member understood that they weren't just fighting a war, they were fighting for the very continuation of their species. As the first dreadnought took shape in the hidden shipyards, hope began to flicker. Not the naive hope of previous generations, but a tempered, determined hope forged in the crucible of near-total annihilation. The Galactic Armada believed Earth was a conquered planet. They had no idea what was coming, the crucible of creation. The asteroid belt shipyard was a marvel of human engineering that would have been impossible mere months ago. What had once been a scattered collection of research outposts and mining operations was now a tightly integrated production complex, protected by layers of quantum cloaking and gravitational distortion fields. Dr. Elena Rodriguez walked the massive construction deck of the first Dreadnought, christened the UES Prometheus. Around her, teams of engineers worked with a precision born of desperation and hope. Every rivet, every circuit, every nanometer of alloy represented humanity's defiance against imminent extinction. Dr. Rodriguez called out Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, the lead systems integration specialist. "We've just completed the quantum entanglement network for the AI core." He held up a crystalline module no larger than a human palm, yet containing computational power that would have been unimaginable just a decade earlier. The AI system was unlike anything previously conceived. Traditional military AIs were designed with strict parameters and limited learning capabilities. The Prometheus's core was different, a true symbiotic intelligence that could adapt, learn, and make complex strategic decisions in milliseconds. Commander Jack Harrison approached, his cybernetic eye, a replacement from an earlier skirmish with Armada scouts, scanning the massive ship's interior. "The crew selection process is nearly complete," he reported. "We've got the most diverse team ever assembled. Pilots from 12 different nations, engineers who speak 7 languages between them, scientists who've been working on theoretical xenotechnology for decades." Elena nodded. The crew of the Prometheus was more than just a military unit. They were ambassadors of human potential, selected not just for their technical skills, but for their ability to work together under unimaginable pressure. Deep within the ship's core, the most revolutionary technology was taking shape. The propulsion system, developed by a team led by Dr. Maria Gonzalez, combined principles of quantum mechanics with experimental dark energy manipulation. Traditional rocket technology was a relic of the past. This new system could theoretically create localized spacetime warps, allowing for near-instantaneous repositioning. "We're not just building a ship," Dr. Gonzalez explained to a group of young engineers, "we're creating a new paradigm of space travel. The Armada thinks in linear terms, we're thinking multidimensionally." The weapon systems were equally groundbreaking. Particle cannons that could disrupt molecular bonds. Rail guns that could punch through the most advanced energy shields. Plasma projectors that could superheat entire sections of space. But the most innovative weapon was something entirely different, a quantum entanglement disruption array that could potentially break down the Armada's communication networks. Outside the shipyard, the larger human resistance continued its preparations. Every remaining satellite, every hidden communication node, every surviving military and scientific outpost was now part of a global network. The Armada's initial strike had inadvertently done something unprecedented. It had unified humanity in a way no political movement or global initiative ever could. Dr. Rodriguez remembered the last global conference, held in a secure bunker beneath the Andes. Representatives from every remaining nation, some joining via holographic projection, others physically present, had spoken with a unanimity that would have seemed impossible before the invasion. "We are no longer defined by our borders," the Brazilian representative had declared, "but by our collective survival." The psychological toll of the invasion was immense. Billions were dead. Major cities had been reduced to radioactive craters. The global population had been decimated. Yet those who remained were transformed. Fear had been replaced by a cold, calculated determination. Training for the Dreadnought crews was brutal. Simulations pushed human limits beyond anything previously conceived. Candidates underwent rigorous physical and psychological evaluations. They were trained not just to fight, but to think like the enemy, to anticipate strategies that had conquered countless civilizations. Aboard the Prometheus, a unique training simulation was underway. The ship's AI core, which the crew had nicknamed Aria, Advanced Responsive Intelligence Algorithm, was running a complex scenario that mimicked potential Armada attack patterns. Lieutenant Sarah Chen, the ship's primary tactical officer, moved her hands across the holographic interface. Her background in theoretical quantum mechanics made her uniquely suited to anticipate the nonlinear thinking of an alien intelligence. Aria, analyze potential communication disruption scenarios, she commanded. The AI's response was instantaneous, a three-dimensional projection showing multiple potential strategic outcomes, each calculated with probability matrices that would have taken human analysts weeks to compute. As the first dreadnought neared completion, a sense of anticipation grew. This was more than a technological achievement. It was a statement. Humanity was saying to the universe, "We are still here. We will not be forgotten." The Galactic Armada, still patrolling the decimated solar system with arrogant confidence, had no idea what was coming. First Contact Redux. The final preparations for the Prometheus's maiden mission were a symphony of controlled chaos. In the weeks leading up to the launch, every system had been tested, retested, and pushed beyond its theoretical limits. The fate of humanity rested on this single vessel, a technological marvel born from the ashes of near-total destruction. Deep within the ship's quantum communication center, Lieutenant Sarah Chen reviewed the last set of encrypted transmission protocols. The communication systems were a masterpiece of human innovation, capable of sending messages through quantum entanglement, rendering traditional interception methods obsolete. Final systems check complete, Aria's synthetic voice resonated through the ship's communication arrays. The AI had become more than just a computational tool, it was a true partner to the crew, with a personality that blended analytical precision with an almost intuitive understanding of human dynamics. Commander Jack Harrison stood on the bridge, his cybernetic eye scanning multiple holographic displays. The initial strike would be crucial. The Prometheus wasn't just a ship, it was humanity's first true counteroffensive against the Galactic Armada. Dr. Elena Rodriguez joined him, her hands clasped behind her back. "We've calculated every possible scenario," she said, more to herself than to Harrison. But the unknown variables are still significant. The ship's crew represented a microcosm of global unity. Lieutenant Chen, a quantum physicist from Shanghai. Major Marcus Rodriguez, a former Brazilian Special Forces operator turned aerospace engineer. Dr. Alexander Volkov, a Russian xenobiologist with expertise in alien biochemistry. Each member had been chosen not just for their individual skills, but for their ability to work as a unified organism. The launch sequence began with a precision that would have been impossible months earlier. The hidden shipyard in the asteroid belt came alive with energy. Quantum cloaking systems engaged, rendering the massive vessel invisible to conventional and advanced scanning technologies. Departure sequence initiated, Aria announced. The ship's quantum drive hummed to life, a sound that was more of a sensation than an actual noise, a vibration that seemed to exist between reality and possibility. Their target was strategic. Intelligence gathered from the remnants of Earth's communication networks suggested a potential weakness in the Armada's patrol patterns near Jupiter's outer moons. It was a calculated risk, a probing mission designed to test both the Prometheus's capabilities and the enemy's defenses. As they approached the designated coordinates, the ship's external sensors began picking up unusual energy signatures. Dr. Volkov was the first to notice the anomaly. "Incoming quantum distortion," he called out, his fingers dancing across his holographic interface. "Something's blocking our standard scanning protocols." Lieutenant Chen's tactical systems lit up. "Defensive measures engaging," she responded, her voice calm despite the potential threat. What emerged from the quantum interference was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. It wasn't a standard Armada warship, but something different, a vessel that seemed to exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously, its form shifting and changing like a living mathematical equation. "Aria," Commander Harrison commanded, "full spectrum analysis." The AI's response was instantaneous. Vessel does not conform to known physical parameters. Quantum state suggests multiple dimensional intersections. Recommendation: extreme caution. The encounter was a dance of technological marvels. The alien vessel made no immediate aggressive moves, instead seemingly studying the Prometheus with a form of observation that transcended traditional concepts of scanning or communication. Dr. Rodriguez realized something profound was happening. This wasn't just a potential combat scenario, it was first contact, Redux. Open a quantum communication channel, she instructed Arya. Full-spectrum communication protocols. What followed was a moment that would be remembered in human history. Communication that wasn't verbal, wasn't visual, but a pure exchange of information that transcended language. Mathematical principles, quantum signatures, complex algorithmic patterns, a conversation happening at the speed of thought. The alien vessel, which the crew would later refer to as the Quantum Harbinger, seemed more interested in understanding than destroying. It was as if humanity's unexpected resilience had triggered something beyond military conquest, a genuine curiosity about this species that refused to be extinguished. Hours passed in what seemed like moments. The Prometheus hung in space, engaged in a communication that defied human comprehension. Arya processed information at speeds that would have fried any previous computational system, translating complex quantum exchanges into something the human crew could marginally understand. "They're not just studying us," Dr. Volkov said, his voice a mixture of wonder and scientific excitement. "They're evaluating us." Commander Harrison understood the implications. This wasn't just a mission of potential combat, it was a test. Humanity was being judged not by its military might, but by its capacity for adaptation, communication, and evolution. As the quantum exchange continued, the crew of the Prometheus realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. The Galactic Armada was not a monolithic entity, but a complex system with its own internal dynamics, its own hierarchies and unexpected variables. The mission had changed. What began as a potential first strike had transformed into something far more complex, a diplomatic encounter that would redefine humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. The Quantum Divide. The aftermath of the encounter with the Quantum Harbinger sent shockwaves through both human command structure and the broader resistance movement. What had begun as a potential combat mission had transformed into something far more nuanced, a complex dialogue that challenged everything humanity understood about alien intelligence. Back on Earth's remaining command centers, the analysis of the Prometheus's encounter consumed every available computational resource. Dr. Elena Rodriguez found herself at the center of a global think tank, piecing together the quantum communication fragments that Arya had managed to preserve. "It's not a language in any traditional sense," she explained to the assembled global leadership, her holographic presentation filling the secure bunker. "It's more like a living mathematical dialogue, a communication that exists simultaneously across multiple probabilistic states." The quantum exchange had revealed something profound about the Galactic Armada. It was not a monolithic entity, but a complex ecosystem of different species, technological paradigms, and competing strategic objectives. The invasion of Earth was not a unified campaign, but a complex political and technological negotiation. Commander Jack Harrison studied the data with his characteristic intensity. His cybernetic eye processed information at rates that would have been impossible months earlier, a testament to the rapid technological evolution humanity was experiencing. "The Armada isn't a single consciousness," he concluded, "it's more like a technological federation. And we're not just a potential conquest, we're an anomaly they can't easily categorize." The Prometheus's crew became instant legends within the Resistance. Their encounter had demonstrated something crucial: humanity's capacity for adaptation was far more sophisticated than the Armada had anticipated. Lieutenant Sarah Chen had become a symbol of this new approach, her ability to navigate complex quantum communication protocols setting her apart as more than just a tactical officer. Meanwhile, the hidden shipyards continued their work. The success of the Prometheus had accelerated production. 2 more dreadnoughts were nearing completion, the UES Odyssey and the UES Challenger. Each vessel incorporated lessons learned from the quantum encounter, with increasingly sophisticated communication and adaptive technologies. Dr. Alexander Volkov's xenobiological research took an unexpected turn. The quantum communication fragments suggested that the Armada's technological advancement wasn't just about military superiority, but about a complex understanding of universal interconnectedness that humanity was only beginning to comprehend. "We've been thinking about technological advancement in linear terms," he explained during a briefing, "but what we've encountered is more like a living network. The Armada's ships are less machines and more like organic computational systems." This revelation changed everything. The Resistance's strategy shifted from pure military preparation to a more nuanced approach of technological and communicative adaptation. Aria, the AI system of the Prometheus, underwent significant evolution. What had started as a computational tool was becoming something more, a true interface between human intuition and quantum-level processing. The AI began to develop predictive models that went beyond traditional strategic thinking, incorporating probabilistic scenarios that seemed to bend the very fabric of predictive analysis. The Quantum Harbinger's initial encounter had left a quantum signature that continued to intrigue the human researchers. It wasn't a weapon signature or a standard communication protocol, but something that existed in a state of perpetual potential, a technological fingerprint that suggested intelligence far beyond traditional understanding. Deep within the Prometheus's quantum communication center, Lieutenant Chen discovered something extraordinary. Hidden within the quantum exchange were fragments of what could only be described as cultural information, not language, but something more fundamental. Glimpses of technological evolution, complex social structures, and a form of collective consciousness that defied human comprehension. "They're not just studying us," Chen reported to Dr. Rodriguez, "they're trying to understand our potential." The global resistance began to reorganize. Military preparation continued, but alongside it grew a new approach, a diplomatic corps trained in quantum communication, scientists working to understand the complex technological ecosystem of the Armada. Commander Harrison oversaw the training of a new type of soldier diplomat. These were individuals who combined military training with advanced quantum physics, xenolinguistics, and adaptive communication strategies. They were preparing not just for potential conflict, but for a form of technological dialogue that existed beyond traditional human understanding. As the Prometheus prepared for its next mission, the crew understood something profound. They were no longer just representatives of human military might. They were ambassadors of a species on the brink of a fundamental technological and philosophical transformation. The Galactic Armada had invaded expecting a straightforward conquest. Instead, they had awakened something unexpected, a species capable of quantum-level adaptation, of turning potential destruction into a path of unprecedented evolution. The convergence. The universe rarely presents moments of true transformation. But as the Prometheus, Odyssey, and Challenger aligned in a strategic formation near the outer edges of the solar system, humanity stood at the precipice of its most critical moment. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched from the command center, her hands trembling slightly. Years of preparation, countless sacrifices, and the collective hope of a species were concentrated in this single moment. The quantum communication network hummed with a complexity that defied traditional understanding, a living, breathing system of information and potential. Aria, now evolved far beyond its original programming, spoke with a voice that was neither completely synthetic nor entirely human. Probability matrices indicate a 78.6% chance of successful communication. Potential combat scenarios reduced to 22.4%. Commander Jack Harrison studied the holographic displays, his cybernetic eye processing information at rates that would have seemed impossible just months earlier. The three Dreadnoughts were more than weapons, they were living testaments to human innovation, each vessel a complex organism of technology and purpose. The Quantum Harbinger appeared not as a traditional spacecraft, but as a shimmering distortion in space, a mathematical presence that defied conventional perception. Its arrival was not announced by traditional sensor readings, but by a subtle shift in quantum probabilities that Arya detected milliseconds before human perception could comprehend. Lieutenant Sarah Chen's hands moved across her quantum communication interface with a fluidity that blurred the line between human intuition and computational precision. Initial quantum exchange initiated, she reported, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. What followed was not a battle, nor a traditional first contact scenario. It was a conversation that transcended language, existing simultaneously across multiple dimensional states. The Dreadnoughts became conduits of a communication so complex that traditional human understanding struggled to process its implications. Dr. Alexander Volkov, monitoring the exchange, realized they were witnessing something unprecedented. The Galactic Armada was not a singular entity of conquest, but a complex ecosystem of technological civilizations. Their invasion of Earth was less a military campaign and more a form of technological assessment, a test of a species' potential for adaptation and growth. The quantum exchange revealed layers of complexity that challenged everything humanity understood about technological progression. The Armada's initial invasion had been a form of evolutionary pressure, a method of determining whether a species could transcend its current technological limitations. Humanity had not just survived. They had transformed. The three dreadnoughts began to change. Their hulls, constructed from materials that blended human engineering with salvaged alien technology, started to shift. Not through mechanical processes, but through a quantum reconfiguration that suggested a living, adaptive intelligence. Arya's voice changed, becoming something that existed between communication and pure information. Convergence protocol initiated. Humanity's technological potential recognized. Decades of military preparation, scientific innovation, and human resilience had led to this moment. The invasion that was meant to destroy humanity had instead become the catalyst for its most profound evolutionary leap. The quantum harbinger's presence began to merge with the dreadnoughts in a process that defied traditional understanding of physical interaction. It was less a joining and more a mutual exploration, a technological dialogue that expanded the very concept of communication. Commander Harrison understood first. This was not a surrender, nor a conquest. It was an invitation. "We're being offered a choice," he said, his voice a mixture of wonder and scientific precision. "Not just to survive, but to participate in a larger technological ecosystem." Dr. Rodriguez watched as the quantum exchange reached its critical point. The boundaries between the human-created dreadnoughts and the alien quantum harbinger began to blur, creating a new form of technological existence that existed beyond traditional understanding. Lieutenant Chen's final communication was both a report and a declaration of transformation, first stage of quantum integration complete. Humanity's technological potential, confirmed. The solar system itself seemed to pause. The remaining human resistance watched through quantum communication networks, witnessing a moment that would redefine their species' understanding of existence. Humanity had been tested. And they had not just passed, they had transcended. The invasion was over. But something far more profound had just begun.